Well, as the writer, I have to come up with the script and even the story in most cases. The saying is that a film is made 3 times. Once when it's written, once when it's filmed, and once when it's edited. So I'm responsible for that first part. Najee Hendricks and I met at the Middle East Women's Leadership Network Summit in October of 2015, and she came up and asked me if I would be willing to make a short film with her. And so we started talking, and so I knew it was something for primarily Middle Eastern women. My vision was to inspire women, to show them that they have options, they have choices. And this idea came to me of just the abundance that I wished for them to have and the freedom. And that's why I decided I wanted to have something in a garden or an orchard or something that visually just evokes abundance and richness. And so I started playing with that of how to explore through story, this scarcity versus abundance, and came up with this story. I began by writing a synopsis of this story idea plus 2 others that Najee and I had discussed, and then I sent them to her, and then we met and we talked about them, and then we chose this story idea. Then I wrote it as a script with the dialogue and the mise-en-scene or scene description, and then I sent that to her. She gave me notes. Then I rewrote it a little more. I think at that point we may have sent it to Shireen, and I sent it to some of my writing friends for the input. I showed it to my son who was studying film, and he gave me some great input. And then I incorporated all that. It's really important to get other people's eyes on your script, because a lot of times you assume that you're getting some truth across and you're not. Maybe it's just in your head. Maybe it never got down onto the page. And so it's very important to have other people read it. And then when we got it to the point that we felt it was ready to be seen, that's when we started sending it out to directors to see if who we could get on board to direct the film. It's important for the writer to have a good relationship with the director, and it was very helpful that I was also one of the producers on the project. So even as a director began to make her shot list, and she met with the director of photography or the cinematographer to figure out how they were actually going to film this, then she would come to me and say, okay, I think we need to make some slight changes with this action or with this piece of dialogue. I didn't mind changing lines or action so long as the important beats of the story and the theme was developing the way I had intended. I think what's important as writers first is to understand your audience. Who are you writing this for? And that was always in the forefront of my mind, is that I was primarily writing this for women and even women in the Middle East. On top of that, you have to be aware of the limitations of a short film. I knew from the beginning this was going to be a 5 to 7 minute film, so I kept it to only 2 locations. So you want to keep your budget in mind also as you're writing, because the more characters you have, the more locations you have, the more expensive it is. Also, I have some children in the garden scene, and that created some tension at times because it's very difficult to work with children. They get tired easily on the set and that type of thing. So you have to keep in mind the specifics, the actualities, that you're not writing this as a novel. You're writing this as a script that has to have real people, real locations, real props, real food. Everything you write has to be brought to life. And so you need to keep that in mind as you're writing it, that it's attainable within your budget. You need to actually write things that get made because you need to write it in mind that it's going to be made with the strengths and the limitations of film. And I would just recommend starting to write scripts and make them, even if they're just a minute long. You can post them on YouTube or whatever, to just do it and start exploring your voice of story through filming.